take to become the best in the world?
You were the best in the world.
I was, but that wasn't my goal.
Okay.
That just happened to be the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say I had a particular grasp of my breadth of my understanding of the world as I dove into self-improvement, right? It became very narrowly focused, and if anything, it became about, if not avoiding, at least processing distractions and redirecting them towards improvement of myself. Right? Competition, your competitors, they bring the best out of you, but you also, at least in this sport, you have very, very little influence over what your competitors do. You're only really in charge and a decision maker for yourself. And as they say, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
Try not to compare yourself too much to others. Compare what you've done in the past, or at least your best understanding of that. Compare that to what you think can be better for you in the future. And this is the path of personal growth. I think it started off as just having had experiences in my young adulthood that my friends and I thought were quite funny, but also experiences that could potentially be learned from. And as the project kind of developed, and it didn't start out as a desire to publish a book. It was really just storytelling over drinks, really. And then it became, it's like, well, how do we, develop this into something a little bit more meaningful? Until the book arrived as is. It's really I think of it as it's a coming of age story with a little bit of, broader historical background, personal historical background. But the goal was twofold. It was of course, to be entertaining still, but also to be edifying, so that the younger reader who may be approaching that stage in life of coming of age, of young adulthood, that they can learn through reading what I had to learn the hard way through life.
Find talent.
Well, I think I was an average to above average athlete. But I think it's true. I have a great sensitivity to the water. So my relationship with the water, that's probably what I would think that when those say that I have great talent, it's my ability to take that sensitivity to the water and make that relationship work for my particular discipline. There are many different talents you can have in the water. I have just one. But yeah, I think in talent oftentimes can be, I think it's what we chalk up to what we find to be awesome, what we can marvel at because we ourselves don't understand, right? I see many talented people around me, whether they're athletes or artists, that I'm inspired by them because I don't quite know how they do it, but they do.
What are those athletes?
What are those athletes?
Yes. That you consider talented.
David, obviously. I remember watching him at European Championships like a couple years ago, where he broke through and broke the world record and put the whole world on notice, not just as a junior, but the entire thing. And that was marvelous. And of course, I'm still involved in the sport of my own country, so watching the talent develop from the youth as they grow, mature, and see what they have to give. Is it humanly possible to swim under
46 seconds?
46 seconds? Sure. I mean, it's just a number. It's arbitrary. It's the known human limit. Of course, it seems all but inevitable. I do think the 50 and the 100 are fundamentally different.
Yes.
In the 100, you have to come home.
Yes.
The 50 is the only race in the Olympic swimming, where the race ends somewhere different than you started.
Yes. And you don't breathe?
I don't breathe.
No.
Don't need it.
Don't need it.
No. I've always thought of the 50, it's an escape. You're leaving something behind. The 100, you go, but then you have to come back.
Yes.
And the journey back is, in some ways, is much rougher and much more challenging than getting out there in the first place. So it's very different, psychologically and physically.